Ready? Okay. Calling today's meeting to order. Do we have attendance?
Yes.
Great, thank you. So now I'm going to call for a vote for closed session for the director's evaluation. This is going to be a roll call vote.
Right. Trustee Campbell?
Yes. Sorry, I wasn't sure if it was present or which one.
Trustee Kleinman?
Here,
Trustee Leda?
or yes.
We're doing, it's,
Yes.
Thank you.
Trustee Silva?
Yes.
Trustee Trudeau?
Yes.
Okay.
We know what we're doing.
We've got a motion to move into closed session. We'll be back in an hour. Thanks, everyone.
You're in good hands.
Friday night took care of my weekday blues. I woke up, had breakfast, and read the news. I'm feeling relaxed, refreshed, and renewed. But I feel like there's something I'm forgetting to do.
Hey, Toby, the show's about to start.
Oh, yeah. It's a Saturday show. 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 It's a Saturday show.
Art! Beautiful day, isn't it, Toby?
Breakfast is served, fellas. Bon appetit.
This looks good, Fred. You're really coming into your own with your cooking.
Thanks, pal.
Yeah, Fred, some of the dishes you've made have been top notch.
Aw, thanks, big guy. I've been trying real hard to hone my skills. I think I've even gotten better at making human food. That one there is called Toad in the Hole.
Where'd you learn to make this one, Fred?
I picked that one up from one of my cooking classes.
You're taking cooking classes, Fred?
Absolutely, Otto. My goal is to be the best frog chef there ever was.
An admirable goal, if I do say so myself.
Thank you, Otto.
So, Fred, what are you gonna do with the rest of your day?
Well, I wanted to ask you guys a question.
Go for it, Fred.
Well, there's a girl in my cooking class. Her name is Tasha, and well,
Do you like her, Fred?
I kinda do, Toby, but I've got a problem.
What kind of problem?
Oh, it's not a big problem, just kind of a small problem, but it could be a big problem if,
Fred, what is it?
well, Tasha said she wanted to go visit an art museum with me.
That's great, dude.
Yeah, except I don't know very much about art, and I'd like to impress her.
Sounds like you do like her, Fred.
Toby, be nice. And don't worry, Fred. I have an idea. Let me make a few phone calls, and Toby, you can introduce the word of the day.
Well, you heard him, folks. Up next is Kashi and Christopher with the word of the day.
Hey Kashi, how's my portrait coming along?
It's coming along fine. Number 5 paintbrush, please.
There you go. You must really like art, don't you, Kashi?
Number 2, please. Oh yeah, I love all kinds of art.
Here you go. You know, Kashi, I can't wait to see my portrait.
Oh yeah, you might be kind of surprised by it. Can I have the pink marker, please?
Sure, here you go.
Thank you.
Kashi, do you like going to museums?
I love art museums, especially sculpture. Can I have the scissors, please?
Okay, But be careful with these, all right, Kashi? And hey, while you're working, I think we should do the word of the day. And I have to leave pretty soon to go on an art walk with Big Fred and the rest of the Saturday Show gang. Hey, there you go. Thanks. Do you want to activate Lexi?
Oh, sure.
Well, let's see what the word of the day is, Kashi. Do you need a hand? Do you know what that says?
It says abstract.
That's right. It does say abstract. Do you know what abstract art is?
Well, kind of, not really.
Abstract art is a kind of representation that some people say is not very realistic looking.
Oh,
Yeah.
that might be a good word for my picture.
Okay. And today's episode is all about art. Hey, are you almost ready to show the painting?
Yes, I am almost ready. Wait, I am ready.
But first, I think we should do the summer game code, don't you?
Okay.
Here it is. It's 7 letters. It's a word from French, and it means to take a bunch of stuff and usually you glue them all together and you make a brand new piece of art from the collection.
Oh, wow, there's a word for that?
That's right. And if you think you know the answer, you can go to play.aadl.org for big points. That's right. All right, shall we take a look?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Great. Wow, Kashi, it's wonderful. I love it. And I think I can see a likeness of myself in there. Though, I've got to run because I've got to go join the Saturday Show Art Walk. I'll see you next time. So long.
Okay, Fred, to aid you on your quest, I've arranged for you to meet with the gang at this location.
Oh, thanks, Otto. Should I bring anything with me?
Just a sharp eye, my friend.
Do you want us to go with you, Fred?
That's okay, Toby. You know I'm a pretty independent fella. And anyways, you guys have the show to host.
Yeah, Toby, Big Fred will be A-OK.
Sounds good to me.
Well, I'm gonna take off my apron and head out. You fellas have a good show.
See you soon, Fred.
Where'd you send him off to, Otto?
He's going to meet up with the gang for an art walk.
Ooh, sounds like fun.
I hope it is. So, Toby, what do we have next?
I thought you'd never ask, bud. Since Fred's going on an art walk and then going to the art museum, I think today's episode should be all about art. And I've got the perfect person to kick us off. Lucy's got an awesome social art project that everyone can do at home. Check it out.
Hi, I'm working on this really cool project where I am making these miniature works of art called Artist Trading Cards, or ATCs. ATCs were started as a conceptual art project by the Swiss artist M. Vinci Sternemann in 1997. He wanted to create an art project that required people to work together, required collaboration. You can make artist trading cards with any arts or crafts materials that you have around. There are only 2 rules. First, cards must be 2.5 by 3.5 inches. This is the same size as a baseball card or a Pokemon card. And you should sign and date your cards on the back. Otherwise, you can do whatever you want. You can trade your finished cards with other ATC makers, or you can just work on building a collection of your own. Have fun.
What is it? It's made mostly of wood, but it also has a metal rod and some screws. It can move, and it's shaped like a human. What is it?
Hi, Fred! Thank you guys so much for meeting me out here. I'm really excited to learn a little bit more about art.
You're welcome, Fred. Great to see you, Fred.
This is gonna be fun, Fred.
Art walk!
Are you guys ready to go? Let's go see some art!
I think I'm ready to go. Let's see what's what.
Art walk!
So Fred, this was made in 1968 from Tony Rosenthal, a UM alumnus, and it's one of 5 in the country, and it's called the Endover, and it's one of my favorite places to meet in public, and it's also spinning and turning.
Oh, Christopher, you gotta be careful, man. Let me help you out.
Hey, thanks, buddy.
Murals are so big! This one, it's so blue!
All right, I think I'm getting the hang of this. Look, art.
Yeah, Fred, this is art.
Gonna see some stuff that you wouldn't wear.
So, is this art too? It looks like a doorway or something.
Yeah, Fred, this is definitely art. Art doesn't have to be a drawing or a painting or a photograph. It can be...
What about this? Is this art? I'm starting to understand this art thing. Thank you so much, everyone. It seems like art is everywhere. You just have to know to look for it.
Good luck, Fred. Have fun at the museum.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Anusri. One of my favorite paintings is Vincent van Gogh's bedroom in Arles. I love the story behind it and also the fact that Van Gogh loved painting everything around him. In this case, it was his new bedroom in a new town he had just moved to. Van Gogh was so happy and hopeful to be here, so he wanted to make a picture of his new room for his brother. This room is really simple, but Van Gogh painted it using really bright colors to show just how special it was to him. In fact, Van Gogh loved this painting so much that he ended up painting it 3 different times. Each time just slightly different. So if you look at all 3 of them at once, it's like playing Spot the Difference. One of my favorite paintings I've ever made is called Rituals Plants. I wanted to paint something that I really enjoy doing. And for me, that's both painting and working with plants. I had so much fun painting all the many little leaves and all the details in this painting. I hope you like it.
Hi, my favorite artist is Romare Bearden. My favorite piece by him is called The Conversation. The favorite piece that I've made is called She of Tranquility.
Let's take a draw break. Now this draw break takes time and patience, but if you stick with it, you'll have a very cool optical illusion at the end. You'll need a hard surface, a piece of paper, and a pencil. Fold that sheet of paper in half. Then draw a gentle curving line across the middle of it. Really make sure the curves are gentle and not too steep. Next, draw 8 dots along this line, spaced at all different distances from each other. Now draw bumps to connect each of these dots along the top and along the bottom. Great. Now pick one of these bumps, it doesn't need to be this one, and camp out on it. Start and end at the same 2 dots and keep drawing bumps extending out from them. As the bumps grow bigger and bigger, you'll notice that the sides grow darker and darker as you travel the same path back up and back down again and again. Now these bumps might balloon out a little bit or start to wobble off to one side. That's great. Okay, now grab a scrap sheet of paper and slip it underneath your drawing page. Continue to draw those bumps right off the edge of the page, like this. Perfect. Now pick a new bump somewhere else on the page and camp out there. Pretty soon you'll notice that in some places you only have space to cram in a few extra bumps. That's okay too. Some bumps balloon out and others get pinched off. Wherever you can, extend your drawing right off the page. Pretty soon you have yourself a wild and crazy design. Cool, huh? Now you can keep your optical illusion as is, or you can add shadow or colors to make it really pop. Thanks for taking a draw break with me.
I've always loved art philosophy. For example, what is art? Are we art? Is art art?
A shark? You have a phone call. It's art.
Hey, Kashi!
Hi, Sally.
I've got a joke for you!
Okay.
What does Salvador Dali have for breakfast?
What does Salvador Dali have for breakfast? I don't know.
A bowl of cereal!
Hey, Katie, I got a joke for you.
Okay.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Art.
Art who?
R2D2.
Ha! Yes, funny.
Yeah.
What is it? It's a wooden mannequin. Artists use these to help them draw the human figure. They can be posed all different sorts of ways. A mannequin.
Otto, did Fred make it back from his art walk?
He sure did, Toby. He's getting ready for his museum visit. Tasha is going to be here any minute.
Ooh, Fred and Tasha sitting...
Toby,
What?
be professional.
Okay.
Was that the door? I'll get it. It's probably for me. Hi, Tasha.
Hi, Fred. You're looking dapper today.
Oh, thanks. You're looking nice as well.
Thank you, Fred. Well, are you all ready to visit the Art Museum?
Did you say we're going to the Fart Museum?
Fred, don't worry. I was just kidding. There's no such thing as a fart museum.
I like her, Otto.
Oh, good. So the art museum then?
Absolutely. I can't wait to go.
All right, fellas, I'm off. I'll see you later.
Bye, Fred.
Bye, Tasha. Have fun. Oh boy, oh boy. Today is the day I get to go camping. Gotta get Toby. Toby? No. Toby? No. Toby? Ah, there you are.
Oh, hey, Otto. You ready to go?
I certainly am, Toby. Do you have everything packed?
I have everything except your to-go bag. Do you have that?
Yep, I put it by the front door. I've got my clothes and my fishing pole and my hat. I'm all set to see the great state of Michigan.
All right. Seems like we're almost ready to go. There's one more thing to do. We've got to call Lucy and make sure she's got everything she needs to host the show.
I'm on it. Lucy. Oh boy, am I excited. Me and Toby are going camping today.
Oh, I'm glad you're finally getting to go, Otto.
Thanks, Lucy. And do you have everything you need to host the show?
I sure do. As a matter of fact, I was just reading a book about Michigan.
Glad to know you're prepared, although I didn't expect anything else. I hope you have fun hosting the show. Bye!
It's a Saturday show. 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 It's a Saturday show.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Saturday Show. Was that my doorbell? Hold on a second. I better get that.
Hello? Hello? You're a flamingo. In Michigan. I'm Clarissa. I left my home in the Caribbean 5 days ago. The Caribbean? That's quite a distance. You want to come in?
So it sounds like you flew from a very great distance to get here.
I, as a flamingo, can fly over 350 miles at one time. I stopped here today because I saw all this water from up above. What is this place?
Well, this is Michigan.
Michigan? Tell me all about it. Food, water sources, culture?
Well, Clarissa, I'm not from Michigan either. But you know, I have an idea about who we could ask. I bet that the Saturday Show friends could help us out. What is it that you want to know?
Absolutely everything.
Well, we'll start with my friends Kashi and Christopher, who will tell us the word of the day.
Word of the day? How quaint.
Marco!
Polo!
Marco!
Polo!
Marco!
Hey, Kashi, there you are.
Oh, hi, you found me.
I did, and look who else I found.
Oh, hi, Lexi.
It's Lexi. You know, Kashi, we're filming on location today. Location in Michigan. Because this episode is all about Michigan.
Where are we?
Well, we're at the Peony Garden in Ann Arbor on the campus of the University of Michigan, and the peonies are just about to pop.
Oh, wait, so we're in a garden full of flowers called peonies?
That's right, and they're going to be so beautiful. I just love it here. Are you ready for our word of the day?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk to Lexi and see what she's got for us. Well, let's see what it says. Can you read this, Kashi?
It says pawpaw.
That's right, it does say pawpaw.
What's a pawpaw?
Well, a pawpaw is a delicious fruit. You have to wait until it gets a little bit soft. And it's also a city in southwest Michigan.
Oh.
And are you ready for the summer game code?
I am.
Okay, here it is. It's 9 letters.
Wow.
And it means a piece of land that's surrounded on 3 sides by water.
Oh.
And Michigan is very famous for it.
Oh, I see.
Both of them.
Okay.
All right. Well, if you think you know the answer, you can go to play.aadl.org for That's right. Until next time, happy Michigan. Polo!
So, Michigan is very large. Was there something specific that you wanted to learn about?
Did you know that the beautiful color of my feathers comes in large part from what I eat? I am very curious to know what kind of foodstuffs are grown locally so that I may think about enhancing my brilliant plumage. Perhaps some rich hued fruit?
Michigan does have a rich history of food and agriculture. Let's check in with a shark to learn more about this.
Hey, it's a shark, wandering around Michigan, trying to find some snacks for Clarissa. Let's take a look at the ground to see if there's any shrimp or fish to munch on. What's this? A tiny dolphin brain?
No, a shark. That's what humans call an apple.
Thanks, Farmer Pete, whoever you are. And do humans often eat them?
Well, sure. Have a bite.
Yum, that was delicious. And where does such a apple come from? Are there more?
Why, sure there are, a shark. In this special part of West Michigan, we're surrounded by apple trees. They grow easily in this fertile area called the Fruit Ridge.
Wow. So, are you telling me that the Fruit Ridge was formed millions of years ago when glaciers pushed the land into gentle rolling hills, leaving behind clay loam soils with superior moisture holding qualities? And because of its proximity to Lake Michigan, provides a unique climate that is ideal for growing fruit and vegetables?
That's exactly what I'm telling you.
What a fruity wonderland, Farmer Pete. Well, Clarissa, it's an all-you-can-eat apple buffet over here on West Michigan's Fruit Ridge.
How wonderful! So many different types of apples to give a boost to my chromatic feathers.
Is your curiosity being satisfied so far?
Well, you've scratched the surface, but I'd like to know more.
Do you like guessing games?
What is it? This delectable-looking dish is a favorite of many Michiganders. We start with a steamed hot dog bun and add a grilled hot dog, some Detroit-style chili. Remember, kids, no beans. And then top it all off with a greasy helping of yellow mustard and chopped onions. Use a fork if you want, but if you don't, make sure to have plenty of napkins on hand. Bon appetit!
That concoction is confounding, dear. But anyway, did you know that my fellow flamingos and I are wading birds? In fact, it was the very sight of all that water that caused me to alight here in Michigan. What can you tell me about this abundance of water?
You know, Clarissa, I'm pretty sure that Lauren is in the water right now. I think he'd be the perfect person to tell us more.
Wow, it's a beautiful day out on the river today, Hazel.
Absolutely. We're so lucky to have the Huron River running right through Ann Arbor.
We really are. It's so fun to paddle the rapids near Argo Park and then just float on down the river here to Gallup.
The air is fresh, the scenery is pretty, and if you keep your eyes out, there's plenty of wildlife to spot.
Like muskrats.
I'm glad you remembered them, Lauren. Also many feathered friends like sandhill cranes, great egrets, and barred owls. And here at Gallup, there are swans, mallard ducks, and Canada geese. And I don't know if you've noticed, but you can also find another species here at Gallup Park today. Human beings. Like you, Lauren.
Yep. What have you observed about us humans, Hazel?
Well, they can be messy at their picnics. Luckily, we squirrels are around to remind them to be tidy.
Thank you for that, Hazel. Okay, back to the water. Here in Michigan, we're lucky to be surrounded by great bodies of water as well as have lots of water inland. You probably know the names of our 5 Great Lakes.
Yes, that's easy. The acronym HOMES helps me remember them. Huron, Ontario, Michigan, Erie, and Superior.
That's right. Here's a tricky question. Which of the Great Lakes does our Huron River empty into?
Yes, that is a tricky one. It's Lake Erie.
Correct as usual. Okay, Hazel, do you know which Great Lake doesn't border the state of Michigan?
I've studied my geography. That's Lake Ontario.
Correct again. Besides the Great Lakes that are bordering us, Michigan has more than 26,000 inland lakes and more than 120 major rivers flowing through it.
Of course, we have to mention Tequamanon River Falls, Michigan's largest waterfalls, and the emerald waters of Kitchity-Kippy, Michigan's largest freshwater spring. Both are in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Cool! Meanwhile, down here in southeast Michigan, I'm getting hungry. Let's head for shore.
Okay, let's paddle on.
Splendid! I'll have no trouble at all finding a lagoon or two in which to soak my ankles. And maybe some new feathered friends. I do wonder how Michigan came to have such a wealth of water.
The answer to that, Clarissa, lies in the deep and distant past.
Boy, Toby, it's so beautiful out here. I'm so glad we got a chance to go camping.
Me too, Otto. I'm really enjoying relaxing out here. I love hearing the birds and other animals walking around.
Toby, what's that? I hear something rustling in the bushes over there.
I don't know. What do you think it is?
Hey, guys.
It's Brian. Hey, Brian, what are you doing out here?
I was just looking for a good sit spot to watch some birds. Looks like you guys found a good one.
Thanks for joining us at the campfire, Brian. Yeah, it's great to see you. Hey, Brian, do you have any spooky stories or chilling tales you could tell us?
Chilling tale, huh? Yeah, I know a chilling tale. And it happened right in this very spot. Ish. Do you want to hear it?
Ooh, you bet I do, Brian. Go ahead.
All right.
Once upon a time, in a distant geologic epoch known as the Ice Age, all of this land was covered for millions of square miles around by an enormous stretch of glacial ice, what we call the Laurentide Ice Sheet. Over the course of some 2.5 million years, this massive continental glacier carved and sculpted much of the features and geology of the lands we know today as Canada and the northern United States, including right here in the land of Michigan. Its advances and retreats gave this land its famous shape, determined the composition of many of our soils, and excavated the Great Lakes basins, as well as thousands of other smaller lakes and waterways that this region is known for. Later in this era, megafauna like the mastodon and the woolly mammoth roam these lands, and their fossilized remains can still be found buried in the earth around these parts. In fact, in the fall of 2015, a local Chelsea farmer found the bones of a woolly mammoth in his fields just 10 miles southeast of Ann Arbor. It's thought that the remnants of this colossal ice retreated from the Lake Superior Basin only some 10,000 years ago. That's a long, long time for human beings and turtles, but in Earth time, that ain't nothing. And remnants of the ancient Laurentide can still be found to this very day in the glaciers on Baffin Island, high in the Canadian Arctic.
Oh boy, Brian, that tale of the glaciers made me chilly just hearing it. Toby, do you think we can start a campfire?
Absolutely, bud. I'll get right on it.
Campfire, huh? Oh, that reminds me. I got something.
Oh, what did you bring with you, Brian? A fossil or something else really cool?
Well, it's just an old marshmallow I've been carrying around with me. It's kind of fossilized.
No matter. Get a stick and throw that thing on the fire.
How chilling! Well, now that we have the essentials covered, I'd love to learn more about what makes Michigan special. Little trinkets of information that tell me more about the culture.
It's a collie dog.
Not exactly what I had in mind. I was thinking more about cultural details. I just like to glean as much factual knowledge about a place as I can. Oh, my thirst for knowledge is prodigious.
It does sound like you know your way around a thesaurus. Speaking of learning from books.
Hey, Katie, check out this cool book all about Michigan.
I love Michigan. That's where we live.
Look, there's a whole section on Michigan state symbols.
Wow, there's so many of them.
Yeah, but it's almost lunchtime, so maybe we should just read about some of them for now.
Good idea, George. Let's start here with the robin. The rabbit is Michigan state bird.
It has been the state bird since 1931. Hey, how about this other animal? Michigan state reptile is the painted turtle.
I bet Otto loves this symbol.
Yeah, we should ask him about it later.
Okay, here, look. Michigan state fish, the brook trout.
They can only live in cool, clean water and can be found in many of Michigan's lakes, rivers, and streams.
Woo! Look at this pretty rock.
Oh, I know that one. That's the Podolsky Stone, Michigan State Stone. A Podolsky is a fossil colonial coral. These corals live in warm, shallow seas that covered Michigan during Devonian time. Some 350 million years ago.
Wow! Petoskey stones are easily found on the beaches and inland streams of northern Michigan.
Look, Michigan's first official state symbol was the apple blossom, designated as the official state flower in 1897. Michigan is known for their production of apples, and Papyrus culinaria bloom on crabapple trees every spring.
That sure is a pretty flower. And now I'm even more hungry.
Me too. I hope we have apples. Let's read one more page and then eat. Hey Katie. See Queris Peninsulam Omanam Circumspice.
What?
It's the state motto. In Latin.
I don't know Latin. Here, let's read it the other way.
If you seek a pleasant peninsula,
look about you.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Hey Katie, how about this one? If you seek lunch, look in the kitchen.
Ha! You're funny. Okay, let's go find some apples.
Michigan seems like it could be a nice place to stay for a while. I'm especially enjoying these comfortable environs. When I was flying over it, Michigan seemed to be so big.
It is pretty big. Only 10 of the 50 states are bigger than Michigan in area. Another reason why it might look so big from above is that it's made up of 2 peninsulas separated by the Straits of Mackinac. It's the only state that's made of 2 peninsulas.
2 peninsulas? Straits? Well, how fortunate that I can fly great distances so that I might easily get from one peninsula to the other. I do wonder how humans are able to make this crossing.
Who can we ask? I know. Let's check in with Allison. I bet she could answer this question.
Hey, Clarissa. That's a really good question. Let's take a closer look.
Michigan is the only state in the U.S. that is made up of 2 peninsulas, or pieces of land that are almost entirely surrounded by water. We call ours the Upper Peninsula and the Lower Peninsula, and the 4-mile-long stretch of water between them are called the Straits of Mackinac. That's where our story takes place.
It used to be incredibly hard to cross the Straits of Mackinac to get from one peninsula to the other. And in the 19th century, this area became a very important transport hub due to the exploitation of natural resources and an increase in tourism.
But in 1923, the State Highway Department started ferry service. These large boats carried people, cars, and goods from one place to another. During the winter, the Straits of Mackinac freeze over. Railroad icebreakers were used during the cold months to break through massive ice flows.
The ferry service was really popular, and every year, more and more people wanted to use the ferry service. In 1955, the ferry carried over 900,000 vehicles.
The ferry service grew to be so popular that they quickly couldn't keep up with demand. Traffic backups could stretch as long as 16 miles.
It proved that if you provided a connection between the peninsulas, people would use it. And so, it was decided after many years of failed attempts that Michigan would build a 5-mile-long bridge to connect their peninsulas.
Building the Mackinac Bridge was a lot of hard work. But after more than 3 years of construction, the Mackinac Bridge finally opened on November 1st, 1957. And when it opened, ferry service between Mackinac City and St. Ignace ended. The Mackinac Bridge remains the longest suspension bridge with 2 towers between anchorages in the Western Hemisphere, and it's currently the 5th longest suspension bridge in the world. And in 2009, the Mighty Mac celebrated its 150 millionth vehicle crossing. The Mackinac Bridge is an iconic marvel of engineering and a mighty symbol of innovation that all Michiganders can be proud of. As then Governor G. Menon Williams stated at the opening day ceremony for the Mackinac Bridge, Michigan at last is to be one state geographically, economically, and culturally. Where nature divided us, we have bound ourselves together with this web of steel. This mighty bridge, the world's greatest, is a symbol of our strength.
Michigan is good. Michigan is grand. Michigan is shaped just like a mitten on your hand. Michigan is grand. Michigan is good. Michigan will love you back just like a great state should. And you can see all the apple trees, and you can feel all the Petoskey's, and you can live the peninsula dream. Michigan is good. Michigan is grand. Michigan is shaped just like a mitten on your hand. Michigan is grand. Michigan is good. Michigan will love you back just like a great state should. And you can swim upon a great lake beach, and you can cross the mighty Mackinac Bridge, and you can live the peninsula dream. Michigan is good. Michigan is grand. Michigan is shaped just like a mitten on your hand. Michigan is grand. Michigan is good. Michigan will love you back just like a great state
That settles it. Do you have room for a pink feathered friend?
Are you asking to stay with me, Clarissa?
Well, I do need a place to stay, and your home is quite wonderful.
I think we can make room for you.
Marvelous! Now, what time is tea served? You can bring it to me in the tub. Where's the tub?
Well, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed our Ode to Michigan. If you'd like more information, you can go to aadl.org/The Saturday Show. And if you'd like to drop us a line, you can send an email to tss@aadl.org. So, until next time,
I take that tea now.
Keep on flying.
Day of the year, the official start of summer is here. Staying up late watching baseball games, watering the garden and hoping that it rains. The temperature here is about 89. Look at the barometer and watching it climb. Hanging with your friends at the park or the swap meet. Hot enough to fry an egg on the concrete. Find a log, hop on, sit in the sun all day. Or sit in the shade, sipping on some lemonade. Grab your pals and head to the pool. It's so hot hot, even cucumbers are cool. Garden salads and running through a slip and slide. Are you kidding me? It's even hotter inside. Open up the windows to let the breeze through. 2 miles an hour so everybody sees you. Summertime is my favorite time. Enjoying the sunshine, sitting outside. Summertime is my favorite time. Enjoying the sunshine and sitting outside. Summertime is really, really hot. Really, 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 really hot. Summertime is really, really hot. Really, 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 really hot. Summertime is my favorite time. Enjoying the sunshine, sitting outside. Summertime is my favorite time. Enjoying the sunshine and sitting outside. Summertime is really, really hot. Really, 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 really hot. Summertime is really, really hot. Did I say it was hot? It's really hot. Yeah, Toby, you said it was hot.
Summer. A little more. A little more. Perfect.
Toby, are you hot by any chance?
You know I am, Otto. I love summer, but some of these days can get real hot.
Oh, well, that's okay. Maybe we should just go inside and cool down.
I think that's a good idea, Otto. Let's go.
Toby, I thought it would be cooler in here.
Yeah, me too, but I guess not.
Nope.
Well, what should we do?
There's gotta be something we can do to cool off. Maybe we should go buy a fan.
That might help.
Well, whatever it is we do, we can't sit in the heat all day.
All right, Otto, why don't you grab your hat and we'll head out and search it cool.
All right.
You almost ready to go, Otto?
Yeah, I'll be right there.
All right, I'm waiting outside.
We gotta get this guy cooled off.
Look, Otto, someone left a flyer on our door. There's a space heater sale down at the shop Drop and Roll. Should we get one?
Toby, no, that won't make us any less hot.
No, man, I was thinking like if we get a space heater and we get really hot, then we'll go all the way around from hot, hot, hot back to cold, right? Isn't that how refrigerators work?
I don't know about refrigerators, but in reality, that plan will never work.
Worth a shot. Let's keep going.
Hey Kashi, how you doing?
Oh, hi, Christopher. I'm fine.
I see you made a list here.
Oh, yeah.
It says my favorite things to do in the summer.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us about it?
I would love to. So, the first one is to go swimming. I love swimming. It's so cool in the summer.
So do I, Kashi.
And the second one is dig in the sand, which you can do at a beach, but you could even do it at a playground.
It's fun.
And the third one says drink lemonade. It's so delicious. And the fourth one is to go tubing, which is very special and fun, and it definitely keeps you cool.
And we're so lucky to have the Cascades right here in Ann Arbor.
Yes, we are. And the last one is read a book under a tree with a cool breeze coming by you. I just love that.
Kashi, you're cooling me down already.
Oh, good.
Well, listen.
All right. Waiting. 2, 1. Here we go. Calling us back to order. And first, do we have attendance? No, attendance is later. So first, I'm reconvening us to a public hearing on the budget for the fiscal year of 2024-2025. So I believe we open it up now to public comment about the budget. Do we have any public commenters?
No public commenters.
Okay. Great, and so now we're gonna reconvene back to the regular meeting, and we do attendance again. So Jodine, do we have attendance again?
Yes, we have it.
Great, thanks so much. Next up, we have approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All right. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. Wait, agenda and consent agenda?
Then the consent.
Okay. Oh, right, motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
So moved. Second.
Great. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? Okay, consent agenda passes. Next up, we open it up to citizen comments about other things that are not the budget. Okay, thank you. And now we have the financial reports with Eli.
Okay. Financial reports begin on the page marked 28 in your packet. Just to touch on a couple of highlights. So our general fund cash balance is $6.6 million as of April 30th. That covers approximately 4 months of expenses. So as of this point, total receipts are $20.2 million. It's 100.3% of budget. We, again, with 2 more months left to go, we expect that maybe come in about 100.5% of budget. Our unassigned fund balance, $7.8 million. So again, that's about 4 months of operations. So our total revenues so far this year, $17.5 million. That's 84.9% of budget after 83% of the fiscal year. Because our accrued tax revenue comes in exact chunks, that means that the other revenue has been going a little bit ahead of schedule, which is nice to see. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. Our year-to-date expenditures, 74.9% of the budget after 83% of the fiscal year. It's where we like to be. And so that puts us in a position right now of just over $2 million of surplus heading into the end of the fiscal year. Do expect that to come down a little bit, but it looks like we'll be in good shape because a lot of that was capital outlays money that we have spent in other ways coming from other lines, or that some of it we might spend out of the capital fund next year as we get the plaza sort of fully commissioned and equipped. One thing I just want to draw your attention to on the next page, 30, is the Friends of AADL balance is currently at $73,000, so that's terrific to see, and we'll be in good shape to start utilizing that in the next fiscal year. And then, if you flip to page 32, just to touch on things that are above or behind of 83% through the fiscal year. You can see grants and memorials. This was revised last month when we moved the Friends out of the budget and into a fund. So that's why that's only 24%, because that was expecting the Friends contributions to go into that line. So, but overall, revenue is finishing 84.9% at 83% through the fiscal year. So again, running a little ahead. A lot of that through non-resident fees, which we've already received more than we budgeted to receive over the whole year. Always nice to see that. If we look at expenditures, actual salaries and wages, pretty much right on the nose, 83.7%. As we've talked about, employee benefits, we budgeted a little bit more than we actually needed, and employment taxes, there was a little bit less. So, but altogether, it works out to right under where we want to be. That's right, 82%, 83% of the way through the fiscal year. Then just to look at things that are over, we've got library programming a little bit over. We might need to transfer into that. At the June meeting, we'll bring you the year-end transfers. Those will usually be a little bit more than we expect because we only get one shot at it. We want to make sure that it's more than enough. But we're in a good shape to transfer that out of capital outlays. Postage running a little bit ahead, but that's a very small amount of money. Repairs and library conferences and travel, glad to see that being used, running a little ahead, so we'll transfer a little bit more into that as well. And licenses and maintenance is very close, but we're also pretty much done spending it, so that one might end right the year. And as of this moment, as we said, just a little over $2 million revenue over expenditures. And we'll talk more about next year's budget when we get to that in the agenda. Any questions about the financial report? Okay, thank you very much.
Great, thank you. All right, next up we have committee reports. Executive committee. I have notes somewhere. We met?
Yes.
The last one, yep, and I have notes about what we talked about.
Basically, Eli.
Basically, yeah, it was the director, annual review process, and we discussed that, and we will have the public letter coming into the public record at next month's meeting. And that's it for executive committee. Budget and finance committee.
We opted not to have our meeting as the budget was in a good shape, and we're going to talk all things budget later in this meeting as well.
Great, thanks. Facilities committee.
Yeah, we met. I will be brief. We met with three primary topics of conversation. The least interesting was the Sweetwater's lease renewal. So we are negotiating a lease renewal with Sweetwater's Coffee Shop that is in the Westgate branch, and which is in line with our lease renewal with the Greater Shopping Center. And so we kind of went over the details of how we're planning to simplify that and hopefully go forward with our coffee shop provider there. We also got some updates on Parkland Plaza, which we'll hear more from Glenn about at this meeting, but the work is ongoing and underway as the finishing work is all happening, lots of conflicts of things needing to happen at the same time, and trying to keep all of those final details from getting done. But we'll get more detail today on that. And then on the biggest new item was which we'll also be talking about later in this meeting, is the brick coming off of the south face of the 1991 addition to this building. So there's a pretty big failure in the brick crumbling off. It's been, if you see the building, it's got plywood on the side now. And we had a lot of questions about what it means for the viability of this building and whether there's any recourse for, the cause of it, and we'll bring those questions up during that discussion period. And get any more updates in terms of like what we've learned since then in terms of what's actually going on with the building and the extent of the problem and what our options are going forward.
Great, thanks, Scott. Any
What's
questions?
the frequency of the Sweetwater's lease?
The lease had been, it was the same as the Westgate lease, so it had been an 8-year initial term, which just
Okay.
ended. And then we will be timing it the same as our lease with Westgate, which is a 5-year renewal and then another 5-year renewal.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a new lease for 5 years.
The lease did not have a renewal that went past this June.
Got it.
So we are negotiating a new lease. But our lease with Westgate did go all the way through the next 10 years.
Yeah, okay, great.
All right, moving on to the library report. with
All
Eli.
right. So here's your May 2024 library report up on the screen. So for our stat of the month, summer game season is coming in hot and heavy. So just to give you some numbers of what we ordered this week or the past couple weeks, 1,000 pairs of socks, 1,300 mugs, 1,500 weather shield umbrellas. You can see the mock-up there. 2,000 AADL toy delivery trucks with very impressive rims, and 2,300 stuffed SG Narwhal pants. So that's just some of what we've ordered so far. There's a lot more great stuff coming, and we're getting ready for a barn burner of a bicentennial summer game. That begins Thursday, June 13th. This is the first time it begins on a Thursday because that's the last day of school, and we know better than to attempt to not begin the summer game on the last day of school. It is a part of a lot of families' end-of-year ritual. And then it will go through August 25th, which is the Sunday before school starts. So it goes from the last day of school to the first day of school, like it always does. And so that is coming up, and here's a great sample of our artwork again for the bicentennial edition of the summer game. All right, some upcoming events of interest. A2CAF is coming up on June 15th and 16th. In tying in with that, we will have an exhibit featuring Nate Powell, who's a comic artist who worked on March with John Lewis. So that will be Friday, May 31st at 6 p.m. This exhibit will be up May 29th through July 9th. Visions is our annual assistive technology fair for people with blindness and visual impairments. That's Wednesday, June 5th, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Downtown Library. The launch of the AACHM Family Foundations exhibit, which has been touring around the community. It was at the AACHM Museum for a while. It's been at the Towsley Center recently, and now it'll be here at the library. That launches Sunday, June 9th from 3 to 5 p.m. We also have taken the content of the panels and turned them into a book that we've been publishing through Fifth Avenue Press, and I believe we're hoping to have copies of the book available at that event. Library Board Candidate Information Night, coming up Wednesday, June 12th from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. for people who are interested in running for library board to get a chance to talk to people who are currently serving on the library board and get their questions answered with a big packet that we can distribute at that for anyone who's interested. As well as A2CAF itself, Saturday and Sunday, June 14th and 15th. Although I think it's one of those two. It says 15th and 16th on the poster. I think that's how it's actually right, the 15th and the 16th. But it's that Saturday and Sunday. We have some great guests this year. Vera Broskall, Nathan Hale, James Kachalka, who's been around just forever, and Jen Wang, who did the Princess and the Tailor, something like that. And so she also did In Real Life, which was a Cory Doctorow novella that was adapted into a comic. She's got some great stuff. So they're all going to be here. It's going to be a really cool event, as always. And that's June 15th and 16th. That's Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's also the first weekend of Top of the Park. And we will have our Kids Rock concerts on the 16th and then a week later on the 23rd. So here's some bigger summer game dates. Thursday, June 13th is the launch. Friday, June 14th, the first badge drop. A week later, Friday, June 21st, lawn and library codes will launch. So that's starting early this year because we know people will be very excited. Friday, July 12th, the summer game shop opens, and Sunday, August 25th is the final day. What you can see here is a banner that's going to go on the wall behind the youth desk of a cake version of the summer game art. And that is our one of our graphic designers, Nate Posky Morrison, who wanted to pose alongside the giant cake for scale. Some other highlight events over the summer is June 15th and 16th. AADL is partnering with AFC Ann Arbor to offer free admission to AFC Ann Arbor games with your library card. We'll be tabling at those events. July 27th at Vets Park is the Summer Game Spectacular. July 31st, the artist from the Summer Game Art, Mario Zucca, will be visiting. August 23rd, this is a new event, Summer Game Skate, free skating for library patrons and free skates at Yost Ice Arena. That is 2 hours on Friday, August 23rd. August 25th on Sunday is the Game Over Gala. We'll also have the return of the points auction. So we will have a real auctioneer letting children bid with their points on various items from the library's various things we've acquired over the years. Also, at the Game Over Gala will be the BC launch. What is the BC? You'll have to come to the Game Over Gala to find out. Something new and exciting that will be teased in the Explorer's Guide, and we'll have lots of opportunity for people to find out about that at the Game Over Gala on August 25th. All right, AADL in the community. Fifth Avenue Press release Middle School is No Place for Magic was named a finalist for a pair of the Midwest Book Awards. The novel was named one of 3 finalists in the young adult fiction category and one of 3 finalists for best cover. The Midwest Books Award ceremony will be held June 22nd at the Mall of America. So hopefully that is a great chance to, take in Camp Snoopy and see what else is going on. So that's where congratulations to Mimi Olsen and to our design team for that recognition. AADL staff visited Green Baxter Court to work with Community Action Network to teach kids about gardening and share seeds from our seed sampler program. Each student got their own potted plant, and we can't wait to see what grows this summer. So thanks to our friends at Community Action Network for always doing some great co-programming with us. So now we're going to catch up once again on Ann Arbor 200 releases. Not quite as many as last month, but still a lot. We left off at number 51, which is our interview with Ken Burns. So number 52 is our interview with Maren and Jeff Jackson, owners of Seva. In 2023, the vegetarian restaurant celebrated its 50th anniversary. First opened in 1973 at 314 East Liberty Street by Steve Belloc and was purchased by Maren and Jeff Jackson in 1997. Number 53 is E.J. Knowlton's portable, pliable, patented baths. Invented in Ann Arbor, the bathing apparatus, or universal bath, was advertised across as a lightweight, foldable bathtub. Neater, cheaper, and more convenient than a stationary bath with no expense for bathroom and fixtures. What I want to know is how they drained it. It's like basically a big bag that you sit in on your floor. But what do you drain it? I guess you drain it out the window. A short document, number 54, Branching Narratives, The Life, Death, and Rebirth of the Tappan Oak. I encourage everybody to watch this. It's an incredible short documentary by local filmmaker Jen Proctor that tells the story of the Tappan Oak, tree that predated white settlement in Ann Arbor, and it has some, frankly, harrowing video of Mishigamua rituals happening around the oak and what has happened since then. So some pretty incredible period video, really hard, easy to understand, but just astonishing what went on campus. So encourage everyone to check that out. Number 55, AADL talks to Sarah Billman, Vice President of Marketing and Communications at the University Musical Society. Number 56, a story about Prentice Prenty Ware, a star athlete and member of student government who learned to read lips after a series of illnesses suffered in high school left him deaf. Amazing story of a local football player, and he perished when he was only 20 years old in a car accident on the way to, I believe, Western Michigan University. So amazing story of a local hero and a very kind of like an unsung hero of Ann Arbor. Great story. Number 57, AADL talks to Elmo Morales, owner of Elmo's T-shirts, running legend, fitness enthusiast, and entrepreneur. Number 58 is looking at how the city celebrated the centennial in 1924, including a banquet birthday party, the installation of a centennial plaque, furthering the myth of how Ann Arbor came to be named. And there will be a new plaque attached to the same rock that kind of clarifies the story a little bit. Number 59, starting in the late 1940s, the Ann Arbor News realized one of the best ways to illustrate how the city was growing and changing was via aerial photography. View photos showing differences between the 40s and 50s compared to 2023. And I'm going to take a minute and show you one of these because these are just incredible. So here's the first one I want to show. This building is still there because this is the fork of Washtenaw and Stadium over where Trader Joe's is. Trader Joe's is right here. So you can see here, there's where it was at that time, and here's what it looks like now. Going down a little bit more.
Bear Claw?
Yes, that's Bear Claw Coffee is what that little building is. Bear Claw Coffee, yep. Here's a great photo of graduation happening at Ferry Field with the big house surrounded by farmland in the background. You can see Yost, and just to, whoops, grab that there, just to pan that across and see how that's changed. You can see now the golf course and Pioneer and the football industrial complex just south of Yost. That's a very cool picture of the big house. We'll just scan across that one to show how that's changed. And this is the one I really wanted to show because when we posted this to Facebook, a lot of people were like, we've lost so many trees. But here's a picture from 5,000 feet, June 1949. Scan across now, there are a lot more trees now than there were at that point because a lot of trees had been cleared for farmland. So you can see, this is looking south, so you can see this is, let's see, you got Packard here. No, I think this is Packard, because that's the big house over there, so there's Stadium there. Now this is South Industrial, this is Packard going out this way. So you can see just how much more green and lush things are now. Yeah. So I just wanted to show a couple of those to you. All right, back to the slides. So number 60, a mini documentary tells the story of downtown Home and Gardens, originally home to Hertler Brothers when the building was built in 1896. Again, I encourage you to watch this video. There's some real great bicentennial moments in here. One thing that Mark Hodesh says, in the basement, on a rainy day, you can still smell horses. It's been 90 years since there were any horses in the basement of downtown Home and Garden. And at the very end of the video, he has a shocking revelation about connection between his dental work and the Hertler Brothers. So I encourage you to check that out because it is amazing. All right, that's it for catching you up. All right, so now we're going to talk about our staff spotlight. Lirong Zheng is a systems technician. She's been at AADL for 21 years. What do you wish people you worked with knew about you? And this is the story she decided to tell. When I started my job as a techno host at AADL, that's what we used to call our IT help, techno host. There were two names on my resume, Lirong, my original Chinese name, and Jenny, my American English name that was easier for an American to pronounce. Eli was asking me respectfully with a smile, which name do you prefer to be called? I smiled, Lirong. From that moment on, I knew I had found the right place to work. I love working with people. I love working with computers. I love seeing a smile on people's faces after fixing their computers. My work is appreciated and valued. Better yet, I am working with a great team that always backs me up. Find a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. That is why I love working as a systems technician at AADL. Thank you so much, AADL. And thank you, Lirong. Been a wonderful employee of ours for many years. All right, mention of the month. This is from Qianan Yuan, and he's been doing his Kylin Festival all week, all month. It's lots of events coming. Thanks to all who came to the screening of Bill Kubota's Most Honorable Son. No joke, it was followed by one of the most thoughtful Q&As I've ever seen. Standing next to Bill in this photo is another of my favorite people in Metro Detroit, Seth Greer. Her and Bill's work at One Detroit and Detroit PBS continue to inspire, capturing what's happening in Detroit culture today. Next up, lecture presentation on Exotica, concerts, panels, and more. And you may remember Bill Kubota as the director and producer of the film Up From Ashes, which is the documentary about the construction of Traverwood Branch. Compliment of the month. Patron and young daughter in the youth area told desk staff, "We love playing with these food toys. Your toys are always so great." And that's always nice to hear. Complaint of the month. Patron wanted a complaint about the quality of the toilet paper passed up to a supervisor. He thought it was too close to the rough texture of the paper towel for drying his hands. He called it injurious and said places have gotten lawsuits over things like this. We have not heard this before. We have our ears open if we hear this more, but we go through a lot of toilet paper, and it is something that I'm sure we'd be hearing more about if there is a major issue. But just so everyone knows, we've heard that. I've passed it up as high as I can pass it. So Noted. All right, and that's our report for May of 2024. Any questions about any of that?
You go.
All right. So I just want to say I love the illustration for the summer game, and I'm really hoping that it will be possible to get a print of that.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. In the summer game shop, you'll be able to buy a print.
Okay,
or
excellent.
with your
Yeah,
points.
Yeah, I've already spent a lot of time picking apart all the details. It's really fantastic. Awesome.
Just toilet paper. And use the word past a lot. I missed last month's meeting because I was away, and I bet you covered number 50, which was the out bar.
Yes.
And I just want, Peter Sparling, who's a friend and colleague, sent the video to me, and I just wanted to say, what a treat it was to see that.
I just loved that video.
I love it so much, and I mean, like so many of these videos, it's capturing something that's sort of I'm gonna like cry a little bit actually. It's a little bit of an absence, and I just found that that particular one is very meaningful to me because I met my husband at the out bar, like in the very old-fashioned way, and to think of all of and also grew up in that space in a lot of ways, and it was just such a lovely tribute to the community, the LGBT community, to Keith and Martin. And I just appreciate it. I wanted to give it to like a special shout out.
Thank you.
I found it very special. Thank you.
Okay, anything else? All right.
Okay, thanks, Eli. Moving on to new business, the resolution to approve the annual budget for the fiscal year.
wait, we
No?
got old business
Oh, sorry,
first.
I started crossing it off,
That's
and then
okay.
I should have circled it, so I remembered. Parkland Plaza facility upgrade, upgrade update, also with Eli.
Okay. Whoops, we don't want to look at that yet. We'll get to that. All right. So Len is off this week, so I'm going to cover the updates out of the plaza. So, you guys got slides? There we go. Okay, thank you. So a lot of it, we're going to start outside because a lot of the action has been outside. This is where the new sidewalk is going that will connect to the existing sidewalk to the south. There's not yet sidewalk to the north, but we have brought that all the way up to our corner, and it will go all the way up to the building. So here's a view of the sign, and you can see there's the Friends Shop space up in the front. As we get a little closer to the building, you can see there are 2 handicapped spots that are right in front of the Friends Shop. That's the entrance to the Friends Shop, and this is the handicap path up to the entrance of the Friends Shop. So I took these photos because we're going to show them to the Friends tomorrow at their annual meeting. So it starts with a very close look at the Friends Shop. Here's their entrance. And then through the entrance, you have this little vestibule, and then here's the main space, which you've currently been using as a conference room. Going back to the other corner, you can see the other end. At this point, all this is missing is carpet and base molding, but we're not putting in any carpet until all the dusty stuff is done. So we're getting pretty close. You can also see, looking back toward the other room, there's another little nook right by the entrance. To that right, that door is the office that is lockable. That's what it looks like on the inside. And then you can see there's a nice little kitchen in there, and then there's restrooms, and then through that door goes into the staff area. So let's look at what the staff area looks like from the outside. This is most of the windows cut in, but this window that is like above the door actually goes up to the same height as the other ones, and then there's another window that goes right over here. We'll see those in a moment. So this is where the staff will enter through this door, and this is where the public will enter when we have public events or things like that that are not through the Friends Shop. This is the vestibule from the inside, so you can see the public entrance from the outside, and then there's double doors going in over to the warehouse volume. This is what it looks like over on the first floor. So this is our area for bindery and acquisitions. So their cubicles will be lined up along this space, and then new materials will come in through that door and work their way along here, get cataloged, stickered, and then be ready to go out the other door and onto the truck. So you can see in the background, there's one of the 2 sets of stairs that goes upstairs. There's another window over there that has been cut but has not yet been installed. And then looking back, there's a couple of the offices for managers. You can see the entrance to the downstairs paper vault. And then here's the lift for wheelchairs or other people who need mobility assistance going upstairs. So there's a small lift there back in the corner. It is not for materials, it's really only for people. There is a forklift space to lift materials when we have big things on pallets on the outside. So this is the upstairs. It's where the archives team will have their office spaces. You can see there's another window that hasn't been cut in over there yet, the entrance to the paper vault. Here's the kitchen and the window that is waiting to be put in and where the lift comes up. Looking back towards the front, here's the window that goes above the vestibule entrance windows on the other side, and then the stairs that come up as well. Here's staff offices along the side. And then here's the inside of the upstairs paper vault. So this has a ceiling that is designed that in case the actual roof leaks, it will conduct water away from the materials, and there's some sensors up there to let us know that it leaks. So just in case the actual leaks, there's a second roof basically to protect the materials from leakage. And then here outside in the warehouse volume, we've got the this rail is up there to protect the offices from the forklift. And here's that lift where the items can be placed on the second floor using the forklift. There's a safety gate there that has not yet been installed. And here's a good look at the entire warehouse wall from inside the warehouse volume. And I think that is the last photo before we get on to our next agenda item. Any questions about where we're at with Parkland Plaza?
It's still on pace for early mid-June?
Early mid-June, yeah, where things are
Great.
going well. We did get our use permit from the city, from the township, to be able for the Friends to have their weekly book sales. So that's all covered. We're in good shape as far as all that goes. So it's really just finishing up details, finishing the site work, getting the rest of the finishes done inside, and then the carpet, and then the furniture. So things are coming together.
Great. All right. Thanks, Eli.
Thank you.
Okay, now new business.
Yes.
Resolution to approve annual budget for the fiscal year 2024-2025. This is pages 34 to 37. So first, I'm going to read the resolution. Pursuant to Act 2, Michigan Public Acts of 1968, as amended, before adoption of a budget, public hearing shall be held as required by Act Number 43 of the Public Acts of the Second Extra Session of 1963, as amended, Act 43, and Act Number 267 of the Public Acts of Michigan 1976, as amended. Pursuant to Act 43, notice of a public hearing on the proposed budget of the district library must be given by publication in a newspaper of general circulation in the library district at least 6 days prior to the date of such hearing. The board, after due and proper notice, conducted a public hearing on Monday, is today the 29th?
Or the 20th.
May 20th, that's what I thought, on the approval of the proposed budget. The board resolves as follows. 1, the board approves and adopts the budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025 as presented. 2, that all resolutions and parts of resolutions that conflict with the provisions of this resolution are rescinded. Can I get a motion for this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Great, and now we have discussion.
Okay, let me give you a couple quick updates about this, about what changed since when we saw it in April. The main thing that changed is that the equalization report came out from the county, so we were able to dial in our revenue projections. The good news was it was a very good year for property taxes in our service area, which it's always good to remember our service area is larger than the city of Ann Arbor. It's the city of Ann Arbor and parts of 7 townships. So when you hear the city talking about how their projections are going, ours don't always line up with that because we have a larger district. So basically, we had budgeted conservatively, assuming a 4% increase to our revenue, and it was actually about almost 7. So that brought in an extra $500,000, more than we had originally intended to budget. And the best thing about it is because there was still high inflation and most of the increase was from new construction, there was no Headley rollback this year. So we were able to levy the same rate as we levied last year, and that brought in $500,000 more. So we split that up. We put a little bit in personnel. We put $100,000 more in programming. We put $100,000 more in materials. We put the rest in capital outlays. So that's how that was spent. And I just wanted to answer one question from last time that Anna had about other operating expenditures. What's in there? Because that line is budgeted, let's see, budgeted at $71,000. There's a couple different things in there. One is food for the library board, but that's about $200 a month. The other thing is there are bank fees, which are not insignificant. There's bank fees that are associated with all of our wires and online payments. But the main thing that's in there is association dues. So like our membership in the Michigan Library Association as an institution, our membership in the American Library Association as an institution. Both of those are 5-figure expenditures. So that's mostly what that is our ALA membership, our MLA membership, and some falafel. So that was the main things that I wanted to point out. Not really anything else has changed. Are there any questions?
No, it's good news.
Yep, we're in a really great spot with this budget, so we're all feeling good about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. All right, so I'm going to call for a vote to approve the resolution. This isn't a roll call vote, it's just a regular vote. All right. All those in favor of the budget resolution as presented, please say yes.
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 All those opposed? All right, budget passes. Thanks, Eli, and thanks, everyone. All right, so next up, we have our resolution to authorize the millage rate to be levied by the taxing authorities, which are pages 38 and 39 in our packets. This is, I'm just gonna like briefly look at how long this is. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna read this resolution. The said Board of Trustees of the Ann Arbor District Library, the library, has given due reflection to the budget and operational requirements of the library as to the 2024-2025 fiscal year. The said Board of Trustees is desirous of providing for the appropriate certification of operational millage relative to the library. The board resolves as follows. 1, that as to the 2024-2025 fiscal year of the Ann Arbor District Library, and as to that portion of said library within the city of Ann Arbor, and that portion of the library within the territory, townships, or areas outside the city of Ann Arbor, the voted millage for library operational purposes shall be the amount of 1.8228 mils. 2, that the foregoing amounts are levied by the Ann Arbor District Library, and the Secretary of the Board of Trustees is authorized and directed to report the same as the library tax levy to the proper assessing officers of the appropriate agencies, and the Secretary may provide copies of this resolution when requested by any appropriate agency. 3, that the amounts certified are essential for the fiscal year of the Ann Arbor District Library commencing July 1, 2024, except as subsequently altered or amended by appropriate certification. 4, that a certified copy of this resolution may be issued as though the original with the certification provided. 5, that all resolutions and parts of resolutions that conflict with the provisions of this resolution are rescinded. Can I get a motion to approve the resolution for the levy?
So moved.
Second.
All right, thanks. Now we have this discussion.
Any discussion or questions?
That's the current full amount.
That is the same amount as the maximum allowed by the Headley Amendment at this time.
Thank you.
So just to make sure I understand this, and for anybody curious, so the original millage was 2.0?
2.0 mils, that's correct.
And the state of Michigan has a law called the Headley Amendment, which will periodically, based on how property valuations change, cause that millage rate to go down to keep revenue neutral, unless there is a new construction within the district that increases the overall property tax base.
Correct.
Right. So this year we did not have a Headley rollback, which would have that maximum reduced.
That's
so
right.
we're that is the amount of mills we're allowed to apply for property taxes. Okay.
That's correct.
Great. I'm glad I understand that. It's taken me a while.
That's great, Scott. Thank you. That's perfect.
Thank you for that.
Yes. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Can I get a vote to, or so all those in favor of approving the resolution, please say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed? All right, the millage passes. Thanks, everyone. Next up, we have the resolution to adopt the 2024-2025 budget as a line item budget and compliance of disbursements. And this is pages 40 and 41. Oh my God.
We can take turns.
Let's take turns on this one, friends. Okay, I will get us started and then we'll just go around in a circle by paragraphs. Or I'll do the whereases. How's that? Whereas, on an annual basis, the board adopts an operating budget for the library, and whereas the Michigan Department of Treasury's Uniform Accounting Procedures Manual includes the following requirements for approval of disbursements.
All disbursements must be approved by the legislative body prior to disbursement unless addressed otherwise in the charter. The legislative body may establish a formal policy to authorize payments prior to approval to avoid finance or late charges and to pay appropriated amounts and payroll, including related payroll taxes and withholdings. This policy must be very limited, and a list of payments made prior to approval must be presented to the legislative body for approval. Now, therefore, be it resolved that
Appropriations by the board. As the legislative body of the library, the board hereby appropriates for the fiscal year 2024 through 2025 the total amount of $21,957,500 for the expenditure categories set forth in the budget.
Disbursements for payroll and related payroll taxes and withholdings is provided by the Uniform Accounting Procedures Manual of the Department of Treasury, the Director of the Library, the Deputy Director of the Library, the Facilities Director of the Library, HR Manager, or Finance Manager of the Library, each as an authorized officer, are hereby authorized to provide for the disbursement of library funds for payroll, including related payroll taxes and withholdings, provided such disbursements are within the budgeted amounts set forth in the approved budget.
Disbursements for recurring expenses that are necessary to avoid finance of late charges as provided by the Uniform Accounting Procedures Manual of the Department of Treasury. Each authorized officer is hereby authorized to provide for the disbursement of library funds for payments that are for recurring expenses and are necessary to avoid finance or late charges such as payments for utilities, equipment leases, and similar expenses, provided such disbursements are within the budgeted amounts set forth in the approved budget.
Disbursements for appropriated amounts. As provided by the Uniform Accounting Procedures Manual of the Department of Treasury, each authorized officer is hereby authorized to provide for the disbursement of library funds for expenditures that have been previously appropriated by the board pursuant to paragraph number 1 of this resolution, provided such disbursements are within the budgeted amounts set forth in the approved budget.
Presentation of disbursements to the library board. All disbursements made pursuant to the authority of this resolution must be presented to the library board for approval at a subsequent board meeting.
Limitation,
I was just going to finish
Oh,
it.
go
that's
for
okay.
it. Do it.
Limitation of disbursements to $42,000, notwithstanding any provision to the contrary in this resolution. No authorized officer shall be allowed to approve any single expenditure in excess of $42,000 unless that expenditure has been previously approved in a resolution by the library board or in an agreement authorized by the library board. Requirement for dual signatures. Nothing in this resolution shall be construed as modifying the current library board policy that requires 2 authorized signatures on all checks, excluding payroll checks, in the amount of $2,500 or more. And prior resolutions, all resolutions and parts of resolutions insofar as they conflict with the provisions of this resolution are hereby rescinded.
Thanks, everyone. Can I get a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Seconded.
All right. Is there anything to discuss about this resolution? I assume all of this is just like what the law says we have to
We do
say.
this every year, and this is how disbursements come to your packet for your review.
Yep. Any questions? All right. All those in favor of the resolution, please say yes.
Yes. Yes.
All those opposed? All right, resolution passes. All right, next up, we have a resolution that is not the budget. This is the resolution to approve the space use agreement with the Friends of the Ann Arbor District Library, which is on pages 42 to 50 of the packet. This one is short and I can read it. The board resolves, 1, that the president of the Board of Trustees of Ann Arbor District Library be authorized to sign the 1-year space use agreement along with the co-presidents of the Board of the Friends of the Ann Arbor District Library. 2, that all resolutions and parts of resolutions that conflict with the provisions of this resolution are rescinded. All right, Eli, tell us about this.
Let's get a motion.
Oh, right, sorry.
No problem.
Here we go. Can I get a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second. Scott has that one.
All right, thank you. Now we
All
have
right.
discussion.
So this is a revision of the space use agreement from last year. The only things that have changed are we've removed the parts that are about the transition from one place to another. Last year, the agreement optimistically covered both the current space and the new space. Now, the Friends Bookshop has just closed this past week, and so now is a great time to be signing this agreement and moving forward. So the Friends Board have already seen this agreement. In fact, they've already signed the agreement. So it is ready for our signature, your signature, Molly. And it basically covers all the normal agreements, only now it's about Park and Plaza instead of the downtown library, while also still making clear that there are sales space at all locations.
Great.
Any questions?
The only question I had was what has changed in this as compared to the prior agreement, and you've addressed that, so I'm all set.
I hit up the back sale this weekend. It was a lot of fun.
Excellent.
A lot of books.
The line on Saturday morning reached all the way around to the staff lot,
Wow.
waiting for people.
Yeah. By the time I got there, it was things were already well picked over, but we found some treasures all the same. Original hardcover of The Cricket at Times Square. Right? Yeah, my kids were not interested. All right, so can I, all those in favor of this resolution for this agreement, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. All those opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, that's it for resolutions. Now we get an update on the exterior and structural system of the downtown library.
Okay. All right, so we can bring my slides back up on the screen. So we're going to talk for a bit today about what we've discovered so far. Now, where we're at right now is that we've opened up the part of the building we're going to open up for now. We are waiting for the report from the engineering company that is going to tell us exactly. But what I'm going to share with you today is what Len sees as with his experience in construction, what I see as with my background in architecture. So this is just us telling you what we're looking at here from what we've seen so far. So we don't know about what the ramifications are, what it means for the whole building, just what we're seeing. So we're going to talk a lot about what phase of the building it is. So I thought it would be helpful to say what is what. So in 1957, the front 2 stories of the building were opened. In 1974, the back 2 floors of the building were added, and that doubled the size of the library. And then in 1991, the 3rd and the 4th floor and the loading dock tower were added. Okay, now they say that doubled the size of the library again, but it actually only added another 1/3 to the library. It was basically 3 phases. Each of them have about the same amount of square footage, roughly. One thing that you can see here is that triple line, the yellow, blue, and pink, where all 3 buildings meet. That's where we have a lot of the problems, both with building systems and leakage and roof lines and all that kind of stuff. All right, so looking at the William Street side, this is an old photo with the old teal panels, but you can see the 1957 part in the front, 1974 part in the back, 1991 part on the top, and this is the corner that we're looking at. About 3 weeks ago, Len and I, pretty much within 3 days of each other, noticed that the brick was not looking right, that it looked like it was buckling, and that it was not aligned with the building, and that it had happened relatively quickly, which is never something you want to say about masonry changes. So here's the hole that was opened right at that spot. Okay, what you can see here is this piece of angle iron, which is called like a brick ledge, that is holding the exterior skin of the building. What you also see in here is the structure that actually holds up the building. We'll see when we open it some more. But then there's this metal plate here on top of the L bracket, and then the bricks rest on that. You can see here's a mortar course. One thing that you can see in here, this little rod is reinforcement to hold the bricks to each other along the surface of the wall, okay? Here's what the drawing says is supposed to be here, okay? This is the shelf angle at the 3rd floor, and you can see here there is this angle, and there's not another plate on top of it, as you see here in as built. It's just the brick is supposed to be resting right on there. The brick also has a shape that is not actually seen, so it looks like it's maybe different brick. But the most important thing is this line, which is the flashing. Okay, flashing is just like a sheet of aluminum. You can see it's supposed to be set between the courses of block, cinder block, that makes up the inside walls of the space. Come down through this space between this cellulex insulation and the brick, and then go between the courses of brick and come out the front and then have like a little lip. Sometimes you'll see this on other buildings where there's a little bit of flashing sticking out between the courses of the brick. The point of this flashing is if water ever gets into this space, that the water comes down, hits the flashing, and then is taken through the wall. And there's actually weep holes. You can see it says weep holes at 24 inches on center. Little holes in the mortar between the bricks intended to allow moisture to get out. We got the weep holes. We're not seeing any flashing, okay? So you can see this here comparing side by side what's supposed to be there. So I said, here's this plate that is not shown in the drawings at all. The brick detail is different, and you can see this flashing is supposed to come down, run along the top of the brick, and then go out. We're not seeing that at all in the hole that's been opened so far. I found this great, very useful photo of this side of the building being built. Thank you, Susan Weinberg, for taking this photo in 1990. We see a couple things here in this photo that are instructive to us. This is my office. This is the spot right here that we're looking at. You can see the block that forms the inside wall. You can see there are ties in the block. See these little things sticking out? Those are ties that are spaced along the wall that are supposed to be then mortared into the brick to help the exterior skin adhere to the internal structure. However, those don't appear to be sticking out through the insulation. Okay, so we're still trying to figure out what happened, but clearly there were some changes during construction that changed what has happened. What we're not seeing anywhere here is the flashing, because the flashing is supposed to be laid between the second and third course of the block. So you should not be able to see the face of the block because there should be aluminum flashing all the way along there. We don't see any of that here. Now what you can see here is the steel structure that actually holds up the building, and then the brick is around the outside of that. All right, so here, having opened up a little bit more, here's where you should see the brick ties sticking out from the block. You don't see them there. We think that it is just long enough that the Cellulex boards are just stuck onto it because those ties don't come out far enough. You also, again, don't see the flashing. And then here's really where we think what the buckling is happening from. If you see this ledge here, here's that L bracket, here's the mystery metal plate, here's the plate that these bricks are sitting on. This plate here and the bricks, you can see this lines up, right? But what the bricks are actually sitting on is this longer piece that's set on top of it. And one thing that both Len and I noticed, thank you, animation, is this is supposed to be a continuous weld from the ledge all the way along. You can see very clearly this is not welded. We think there might be one tack weld right there. We can't quite tell from the photograph, but it's specified in the drawings that this is supposed to be a continuous weld, and we're not seeing those welds in what we've seen so far. Get past the animation, thank you. All right, so the other part of this here is that this ledge and this ledge, you can see how the bricks do not quite line up there. And what we think happened is that at some point they changed the bricks and they needed to make the ledge bigger to hold up the bricks, right? It doesn't explain why there's no flashing, okay? But the other thing that we see in this photo, and the guys, construction crew has already commented on it, we haven't had the engineer's report yet, is that steel is a lot rustier than it really should be for a building that's only 30 years old, right? You can see how, now, it's very thick, very strong, you can see these as bolts. At this point, we don't have any reason to suspect that the building is not safe to be inside, right? However, these loose bricks are making us a little nervous about what about the risk is outside the building, all right? And one thing that you can see in this next photo, you can see those two courses of brick are tilting out all the way along here. And you can see this top one is bowed. So as they started disassembling this, they stopped because they were losing the ability to control how many bricks were falling, right? So what they did is they took this wood, this is the temporary condition, but they shored up the brick and wedged in a brick to the brick ledge to keep it stable. And then they covered the whole thing up with plywood for now. The plywood is screwed into the mortar courses. So at this point, that wall of it is stable. That's where we're at while we're waiting for the report. These are not things you want to see when you open up your building, is that things are not the way that weatherproofing and waterproofing that is supposed to be there is not there. The changes during construction are not reflected in the drawings. We're very early stages about this, but this is not what you want to see when you open up your building. Now, as we look around the rest of the building, this whole seam is not looking great all the way around the whole building. It doesn't look as bad anywhere as it looks right there, but it looks a little rough, except, I thought, for the gap between the third and fourth floor on the part that was new from the ground up, the tower above the loading dock. However, then I took a really close look at it, and between the second and the third floor, you can see here where that's exactly the same joint, only one floor lower. It's starting to bow out. That's on the east-facing wall. And then down the other end, you can see it's bowing out there too. So not good news for anything. This is not what we want to see. We're in the very early stages of figuring this out. It is definitely possible that all of the brick surface from the 1991 edition needs to be removed. Okay, so next step is we get the report from the engineer on what he sees. We will probably need to do more exploratory surgery open up more corners, see what more parts of the building are like, see other things are loose. I'm particularly nervous about this with construction starting up next door and excavation coming soon. This building is going to be shaken as much as it's been shaken since the parking lot went in, and this is not a good time to have loose bricks on the 3rd and 4th floor of the building. So we'll know when they're ready to get digging over there, because they got to do demolition first, which there's vibration associated with demolition, but not like there is with excavation. So we'll have plenty of notice, and what we might do at the very least is cover that seam with the plywood all the way around the building, or there are other products, like there's a mesh that you can apply to keep it from falling, once we get a better sense from the engineers of where our risk is. So that's Len and my sort of not quite amateur, but lay people assessment of what we see inside the building. Any questions?
Lots of questions.
Yes.
First, can you clarify for me the scope of what can we expect to see in the engineer's report? Is it just an assessment of the damage? Will it cover things like potential cost of remediation? Or so what will we see in the engineer's report?
It's basically the engineer telling us, and it's just it was a very small project, like look at inside this hole and tell us what you see. Okay, so it's not a reference to the drawings. That's work that we'll do separately from it. It's mostly giving us an assessment of the state of the structure inside there, the state of the brickwork, and what they anticipate the risks are from what they saw there. It's not about going forward. It's not about costing. It's not about recommendations. It's just, it's like the radiologist report, not the doctor's report.
Great. And one of the other questions I had was around safety. I think you've already covered sort of that safety risk is predominantly to exterior outside of the building, not occupants or staff working inside of the building.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, at this point, we looked all over the building since we saw this. We poked up above ceilings. We're not seeing any of the things that you see when your building structural system is shifting. No cracks in drywall, no seams that are pulling apart, nothing that's troubling above the ceilings, right? So at the moment, this is a exterior structural system problem.
So I think I heard you say a moment ago that it's likely that all of that brick exterior will need replacement.
That's kind of a worst case at this point, but that's just like us assuming that we can't trust any of it because it doesn't appear to be built as designed. If that turns out to be true, because neither Len and I can figure out how they were handling water inside the wall with these things from the drawings not present.
So I think based on what you've said already, it's a little premature to maybe be solutioning because we don't have all the information that's required yet. Can you perhaps speak to what kinds of, I don't know what my question is exactly. Where do you think this could lead to, or what are some of the potential outcomes we could be looking at as this evolves?
Yeah, so there's a couple different things. The first is kind of an assessment of the scale of the structural problem and the scale of the as-built deficiencies of the building compared to the original design, and which of those are remediable, right? Because a lot of these is just, you can't go back and put flashing between rows of block that are already set in place. I think there's definitely at some point a cost development with a couple different layers of what if we did this, what if we did this, what if we did this? And then there's the determination, is it worth investing that amount of dollars and then still have the same library when you're done, right? Because it's gotta be 6 figures at the beginning, just to even look at it, and probably 7 or even 8 figures for the actual remediation of the project, which is very hard to consider.
Yeah. So I think you've made 2 points that are helpful to consider. One, this isn't the first facility-related problem. And second, that cost to fix it could be significant.
Yes.
I think it would be natural for members of the public to ask things like, whose fault is it? Was it the builder? And could they be held liable for any portion of what we might expect to pay, whether it's in remediation or replacement? And so can you talk a little bit about situation as related to statute of limitations or insurance or,
once we get a good report from the engineer about what we're actually looking at, and once we determine what further exploration is needed to assess the scale of the deficiency, then we'll have a conversation with council about what our options are, if any.
Okay.
I mean, these are decisions that were made 30 plus years ago. Any documentation to try to, address it is not likely to exist. We're lucky that we have the drawings so we can see what it was supposed to look like, right? At least during the design phase. And it could be like, it's definitely possible that these decisions were made completely legitimately by the construction manager of the public schools at the time. And this is the cost. They kicked the cost down the road, saying the building will last less time by making these changes to make it come in under budget at this point. So that's not necessarily negligence. And these are the questions that we'll sort out with council once we have a good sense of what we're really talking about. But it's hard to imagine this being something that was a contractor cutting corners, right? Which means it was probably approved. But we'll probably never know the answer to that part of the question. So it's really, once we have a sense of the scale of deficiencies, we can see what remediation is even in the ballpark of, and then try to determine what our options are for recourse. Clearly it's not something that, when the ownership of the building was formally transferred away from the public schools, all of his liability came with it. So it's definitely not like that would be something we would seriously consider pursuing, but it is definitely not the school board's issue, even if it was school staff who were making the decisions during construction. So I'm not seeing a lot of angles of recourse, but that's what you have attorneys for, and we will pursue that once we have a better sense of the scope. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just say, being on this board, I think a value that you've communicated and others have as well is around stewardship of financial resources. And given what you have indicated, that it could be very difficult to assign blame or try to make some sort of a claim. My own position is I feel I wouldn't be interested in seeing the board investing significant financial resource towards pursuing, legal action or something that isn't likely to result in, an outcome that actually fixes the problem. So we'll see what happens, but, I think some prudence is warranted. That's it for my questions for today.
Thank you, Lisa. Any other questions about this?
Yeah, well, I'll just second that. I think that, it was so long ago with far less electronic paper trail than we have had even 15 or 20 years ago. And, I think it's worth spending a small amount of time to understand how this happened, if possible. But yeah, my assumption is that that road won't lead anywhere, and I don't want to put your resources, the institution's resources into that path.
Any other questions or comments?
We are long overdue for a downtown resource that matches our ambition and the desires of the community and the needs of the community and the ways in which this library actually does its programming and collections work. So I just say that to underscore, this building is an albatross. Yes. It is not designed to do anything we want it to do, and I so appreciate the staff for all of the work that continues to go into making this a functional, usable, safe space for our communities and our stakeholders and constituents and for the taxpayers. But, we got to turn the page here at some point, and I do hope that the community is paying attention to this and understanding truly how, in my opinion, unsalvageable this building is, and how we really need to start over again with a different and new intent.
When the 1991 edition opened, the director at that time, Ramon Hernandez, known by everyone as Ray, said, he observed that the library had basically had major investment every 20 years, 1957, 1974, 1991. And he said, I can't wait to see what happens 18 years from now. And that was 34
Nothing.
years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was seeing how nicely you laid out the different editions visually. I was surprised by the amount of time that's passed by each of those relative to 1991 to now.
And when you think about the just extraordinary advances in information and technology, and also just how the community of Ann Arbor has changed.
Yeah, well, I mean, and this is...
Oh, ...
Well, and it has not been a secret that this is a hope of this board to have this project, and this might really force our hand. I mean, we don't know enough yet, but we know enough that it's very likely that the cost to truly make this work is, I can't imagine that it would be worth it.
It's a malfeasance, actually.
Yeah,
I
it would
mean,
be
if we're talking about, an 8-figure remediation.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to wait, we have to
I know. Worst case
be
scenario.
diligent, get the information, but this could definitely be something that kind of pushes us into a different discussion.
I mean, as hard as it would be to let go of those sewage crocs and the amount of air that they've taken up in the however 10 years I've been on this board, it's like another signal about how just truly unfortunate it is that we have not been able to advance ourselves in this way.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many reasons for that. And we've discussed many of them here.
Can you guys put my slide back up for just my feedback up for just a minute? This is just an image I came across earlier today when I was looking at this. This is the original proposal for the 1957 part of the library the meeting room is still the multipurpose room. It's just exactly as it was you can see the ramps are changed a little bit. Chair storage is still in the same place. Conference room is still the same place. But this is one thing that when you're talking about how much use has changed, hey, but wait, they had a charging desk. Well, except that meant checkout.
Yes.
There was no devices to charge. It was not a charging desk. It was where you checked out your materials. But you can see here, we're still using this space every day. And it's got a lot of miles on it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I remember the creation of the Lobbytorium, and I just remember thinking that was a really brilliant lemonade out of the lemons that the library was served in the last decade. And truly you are pushing the boundaries of every corner of the space in terms of what we can do with it. And that's been true for a while. I really appreciated the graphics that you gave us of the different spaces. That was an incredibly helpful visual for me. But yeah, it's like we have a Lobbytorium because we don't have the space that we need for these events, and it's a lot.
Well, and there's a lot of labor associated with using our main space as our main event space as well. Lots of things have to move around.
Right, things are moving on with all the time. It's a lot of labor that we could be putting into other kinds of things.
I do have another, sorry, Molly, if you had more. I had another question about the nature of the problem. So when I look at the brick on the exterior, it's not a shape I'm really familiar with. Has Len or anyone else commented on the availability of, can we even get bricks that look like that anymore?
Not likely. They were trying to save them as they were cutting them off. And that's one other thing, in terms of the safety risk, as the person on the other side of that wall, they had to use a lot of tools to get those bricks loose. So it's not like they're imminently going to fall off. It's just the system is failing and not trending in the right direction, right? But it's those bricks it's a very 80s brick. I've not seen something like that. And it also, like I said, appears not to be the one that was specified during the design. So not entirely sure about that yet, because it's always possible that the set of drawings we have are not an as-built set or something like that.
Value engineering.
Yeah, value engineering, right. but it's like obtaining, it would almost have to be a different brick. Yeah. And at this point, you wouldn't really do a rain screen like that in brick at all. You'd do a separate product, similar to what we have around the, what used to be the teal panels above the entry. You know, it's a rain screen type system as opposed to a structural skin.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
This drawing is so cute.
I know.
So yeah, I just want to say I appreciate you and Len being on top of this and catching it and taking it seriously and getting in there right away to see what's going on and keeping the safety of the people around this building and in this building as the primary value. So do what we need to do to keep it safe, and we'll see where we're at, and then we'll figure out how to go forward. And if the building has to be ugly for a little while we figure it out, it might be ugly for a little while.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments or questions? All right, we'll keep you posted. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, Eli. All right, end of meeting citizens' comments. Do we have any comments?
No citizens' comments.
Okay.
I did not sign up, but you are welcome to. Come on up.
Please, yes.
Please.
Absolutely.
All right, well, this is becoming my spring tradition. My name is Garrett Scott. I'm the treasurer of the Friends of the Ann Arbor District Library, now in our 71st year. Even amid, well, first, thank you for approving our space use agreement. From that base, we can go forward. We are excited, a little nervous about the new move coming up. But even amid the uncertainty, the Friends are thriving. Just a quick update that besides sort of continuing to move affordable books and media through the community, our revenues this year are up 22% over last year, and our expenses are holding about steady, about 6% up over last year. Last year, we returned to giving gifts to the library. I'm glad to see us sort of broken out as our own fund now. It makes me feel like we're kind of grown-ups at the table, even for our amount. We gave almost $26,000 last year. This year so far, we've given $46,000. And our budget, proposed budget, which should be approved with luck tomorrow at the annual meeting, calls for $70,000 to be given to the library next year. So the excitement, the uncertainty of prepping for the move is here, but all of this is possible, of course, because so many people in this community want to support the library. So we have to thank our volunteers. We have to thank library staff for the material support they give us every year with helping with sales. Rachel Pestiva, our executive director, and Len has been just a stalwart in helping us plan out the new space. So again, the joke I'm going to bring you every year, of course, is that I'm a treasurer of a nonprofit, so I can never be optimistic. But I'm really looking forward to what we're going to be doing as we move forward. So we invite you, of course, as always, to join us. $25 a year. You get a premium or a prize if you pay more for membership. I'll put the bootleg membership stickers out on the table for you to collect after the meeting. And of course, we always welcome, having you stop by for the sales again and again. So thanks for making a bag full this weekend, and we'll see you in the new space. Thanks again.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations on your success this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, going to a new place.
That's great.
I'm looking forward to working the new space into the thrifting on Saturdays out on the Jackson Road corridor. So I think there's
some sort of thrift corridor branding.
There we go.
Yeah.
The Jackson.
All right, great. Thanks so much. Any other comments? Okay. In that case, the meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.